Hello, boys and girls. Do you see my sign? Yeah, it says we miss kindergarten. I miss you guys. Mrs. Everett misses you guys. Mrs. Swindell misses you guys. So hopefully you're doing well. This week we have a second book that we're going to read to go with our essential question. Why is it important to help your friends? And this is the second Curious George book we've read. This one is called You Can Do It, Curious George, and it is by Margaret and H.A. Rey. And last Curious George book was Curious George Makes Pancakes, and we knew at the end that George just wanted to help. And even though he was a monkey, he found a way to help. So I bet this book is also about helping. And again, why is it important to help? It's important to help because it makes people feel good. It shows people you care about them and you love them. So we're going to read to find out how George helps this week. You can do it, Curious George. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. George loved going to the museum with his friend. While they were visiting the museum, they saw a sign. The sign said that the museum had won a prize. People voted this museum as their favorite. They said this museum was the best. When George saw the sign, he started to think, what could he do best? He decided to find out. You can do it, George, said the man with the yellow hat. George went back home. He was good at drawing dinosaurs. Maybe he could draw the best dinosaur picture ever. George decided that he liked to draw, but he wanted to try to do something different. He climbed out the window to look for ideas. Soon George came to a restaurant. That gave him an idea. So what do you think George's idea is? He's going into a restaurant. What do you think? George loves spaghetti. He decided he would make the best spaghetti ever. You can do it, George. Look at all that spaghetti. George thought it tasted great. He tasted more and more of it and made a big mess. Then the chef came in. Get out! He shouted. Out of my kitchen! George was going to have to find something else he did best. George needed another idea. He got on a bus to think. The bus took him to the ski slope. That gave George an idea. He grabbed the biggest sled he could find. Maybe he could sled down the hill faster than anyone ever had before. You can do it, George. At first, sledding was fun. Then George started going too fast. Look out, George! George is going to have to find something else he did best. So he's trying to find out what he can do the best. George needed another idea. Then he remembered something he did better than anyone. He rushed back home. When he got there, he took out his kite. He was going to be the best kite flyer ever. George got his kite to go higher and higher. You can do it, George. Then the kite lifted George right off the ground. Look out below. So again, boys and girls, I'm making a text-to-text connection. This scene in our book reminds me of another book, Someone Bigger, with the little boy and all the people that were getting pulled up to the sky with the kite. George landed in the tree in the forest. His kite flew away without him. George was going to have to find something else he did best. Just then, George spotted smoke. Oh no, it was a forest fire. See the fire right there? George wanted to warn everybody about the fire. He raced to town and found the fire station. The firefighters quickly put out the fire. Whew! By now the sun was setting. It was too late for George to figure out what he did best. Now I want you to think for a minute. Do you have an idea of what George does best? Let's see. George's friend met him back at the museum. The director had heard that George warned everyone about the forest fire. She thought that was the best thing anyone had done in a long time. George did it! Hooray! He found out what he can do best. He is the best helper. George got a very special prize that day. The end. Okay, so George is very good at helping friends, right? We know that from this book and the pancake book, right? So back at the beginning of the story, he wanted to draw a dinosaur picture and he thought he could do a good job. He wanted to help in the kitchen, but he kind of made a mess, but he was still trying to help make a bunch of spaghetti, right? He wanted to go fast down the skiing hill, but he went kind of too fast and knocked over another skier. He wanted to be the best kite flyer ever, and his kite got lost and he got stuck up in the tree, but that kind of helped him. He noticed a problem, right? He noticed that there was a fire, and he was quick to come down and warn everybody about the fire, and that helped saved the day. So George is very good at helping his friends. Now, if you are listening to the story with your mom or dad or an adult, a helper, I want you to think about something you are good at doing, or how do you help at home? I know my boys, I have 3 boys, you know. Noah is my oldest boy, and he is very good at helping clean up messes that he doesn't make. Sometimes he doesn't love to do it, but he knows it's good to help. It's good to help mom at home, and it helps his younger brothers and sisters. So I want you to think of something you do at home to help maybe your family or your brothers or sisters, or maybe a friend, and keep trying to do that at home, especially since we're going to be at home for a while doing school. So good job. Once again, I sign we miss you guys in kindergarten. Hopefully we'll get to see you soon, but keep working hard. Bye, boys and girls.